plan on voting on the matter the following meeting, October what date is that? October the 10th at 7:30, recreational cannabis. I want to thank the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District Board of Commissioners for recognizing the village of LaGrange. They actually had a ceremony at their most recent meeting. I'll pass this around and leave this here in the village. The MWRD has been a great partner for LaGrange on a number of projects, including some recent ones that Ryan can report on later in Andre's report. The permeable paver parking lots and many other things. They've been a good partner with us on stormwater management. So on behalf of the village, was able to represent there, and we appreciate their recognizing you for all your efforts here in LaGrange. All right, October 14th is the next meeting, October 14th. So discussion on September 23rd on the cannabis, and then October 14th at our regular board meeting. We also have a milestone to undertake tonight, and that is a resolution of appreciation for retiring acting Fire Captain Brian Sybil. Every town should have a Brian Sybil. Brian has been a dedicated LaGrange leader in our department. He is part of our village family. He has really been a leader and somebody who we count on for both stability and thoughtfulness and professionalism, and he has exhibited that from beginning to end here in the village. So we have an action item here today, members of the board, a resolution of appreciation honoring Brian Sybil. And so I guess we lost John Burns. He's out, so I'm going to read this. This is not my normal practice, but whereas Brian Sybil was hired as a full-time firefighter paramedic on October 26, 1992, and whereas Brian Sybil was promoted to the rank of lieutenant on May 2nd, 2009, and appointed to the position of acting captain on September 15th, 2014, and whereas Brian Sybil holds numerous state and national certifications in firefighting, fire investigation, and fire prevention, and whereas Brian Sybil has served as a firefighter, paramedic, lieutenant, acting captain, and department leader, and has consistently demonstrated leadership, commitment to the service, and respect for all members of the fire department, and whereas Brian Sybil has honored his profession by protecting the rights of all people while showing compassion and respect for all individuals, and whereas Brian Sybil has demonstrated the mission and vision of the fire department, and whereas Brian Sybil's professionalism, dedication, and commitment to excellence throughout his 26 years of service to the citizens of LaGrange is truly admirable, now therefore be it resolved that the Village Board of Trustees do hereby express their sincere gratitude and deepest appreciation to acting Captain Brian Sybil for his many years of exemplary service, loyalty, dedication to the village, and convey their best wishes on his retirement. And that is a resolution, and in a moment I'm going to put you on the spot, Brian, and have you come up here. But before we do that, this is an action item to the board. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
The resolution for for the appreciation of the retirement of acting Fire Captain Brian Sybil for 26 years of service.
Thank you, Trustee McCarty, and thank you, Trustee Kutinek. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion prior to a vote? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, the resolution is passed, and if we could invite you, Brian, up here, and I'm going to put a microphone in front of you, and while you're coming up, I'm going to ask the members of the fire department to come up as well, so you're not so lonely, and we'll laud you here.
Police and Fire Commission. Thank you for the opportunity. This is a Grange job. And I promise not to get emotional on that line.
I didn't tell you I was going to put you on the spot. Great. But thank you again. And while we are here, Chief Avra, you've got your predecessors here. We've got former Chief Bill Bruskalski here, and is Don here? Don Gay, the former chief. Thank you guys for being here. Last time we honored Miles Odom. He wasn't here, but he's here tonight, so thank you for being here tonight, Miles, and congratulations to you as well. And again, to the fire department, you guys are the best. We appreciate it. And we're glad you were able to show up for Brian and family. So thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to ask Andre to make her presentation, her report.
Thank you, Mr. President. ComEd will be conducting overhead utility line clearance in the LaGrange area over the next several months. Utility line clearance involves trimming trees and pruning shrubs on both public and private properties, which may interfere with electrical wires. Tree trimming may or may not be required on your property, depending on the area and need. Impacted residents will receive a notice from ComEd with more information. A map of the areas identified for tree trimming is available on the village's website at www.villageoflagrange.com. The LaGrange Environmental Quality Commission, in conjunction with the LaGrange Park Sustainability Commission, is hosting a native garden bike tour on Sunday, September 15th between 12 and 2 p.m. The tour features gardens in LaGrange and LaGrange Park. More information, including a map of the gardens featured on the tour, is available on the village's website. Finally, over the past several months, the village has coordinated a number of construction projects to replace aging infrastructure and enhance stormwater management. Residents and the village board have been updated through regular construction updates during the work. At this time, I would like to ask Public Works Director Ryan Gillingham to provide more information regarding the various projects and their current status.
Well, thank you. I know when we talked about capital projects in March, we said it was going to be a busy construction season. Well, that has definitely proven to be true, so I'd like tonight just to give you an update on all the projects that we've been working on. The first project is the Brewster Avenue water main project, and that involved replacing the water main from LaGrange Road to Spring Avenue. That project was started on March 25th and was finished on May 24th. This project actually went pretty quick, mainly because there was nothing in the way and there weren't very many service lines on the project. Once the water main was completed, LaGrange Park completed the resurfacing just before school got started. The next project, which was mentioned earlier, is the Lot 8 in the Village Hall green infrastructure permeable paver lots. That work was started right when school got out, as we were working with the school to use their lot while some of the parking was displaced. The Village Hall lot was started on June 3rd and was back open on July 25th. Lot 8 was started on June 19th and was open to vehicles on August 16th. The next project is the Blackstone Avenue water main and roadway project. So that project involved replacing the water main, the 100-year-old water main on Blackstone from roughly 47th Street to Cossett Avenue, as well as involved reconstructing the roadway. The water main was started on April 2nd and completed on June 26th. The roadway project immediately started after the water main was completed. The concrete curbs, sidewalks, and driveways are all in, as well as the first layer of asphalt. The remaining work includes finishing the parkways, as well as putting the final layer of asphalt, which we expect to be done before October. One of the interesting parts about the project is that it included the replacement of lead service lines that were encountered during the project, where we offered residents the opportunity to replace their lead service line. Of the 26 lead service lines that were encountered, 16 were replaced all the way from the B box into the home. Similarly was the Ashland Avenue water main and reconstruction project. This project was the same scope of work as Blackstone's, the replacement of the water main and the roadway from 47th Street all the way up to Harris. The water main was started on April 22nd and was completed on August 7th. This project actually took, or the water main portion of the project took about 3 weeks longer than anticipated for primarily 2 reasons. The first was we encountered a shallow rock excavation where we had to get the water main between the existing 60-inch brick combined sewer and the top of rock. The other challenge that we encountered at the Cossett Avenue intersection was the water main that runs east-west on Cossett Avenue is directly below an existing AT&T duct bank or conduits. So one of the things that we're going to have to plan for next year, and we're working with AT&T, is to have that water main, or have the AT&T conduits moved so that we can finalize the project and attach the north-south water main to the east-west water main. Once the water main was complete, the roadway work began. One of the things that we wrote into the contract was that they had to complete the roadway and the water main next to the school first in anticipation of school starting, and I can say that that was accomplished. Right now, the contractor's working on the roadway portion, so the concrete curbs, sidewalks, and driveways are all done, and hopefully if weather holds out this week, they'll be grinding and then paving here in the next week to 2 weeks. Overall, on the contract, the contractor is currently at 36 working days on the contract, and the contract has a total of 55 working days to complete it. So we expect the work to be completed in October, or at the beginning of October. Similar to the Blackstone project, residents had the option who have a lead service line to replace their lead service line. So on the Ashland Avenue project, of the 32 lead service lines that were encountered, 21 were replaced all the way from the B box into the home. Next is the LaGrange Road resurfacing project. This is an IDOT project which involved resurfacing LaGrange Road from I-294 all the way to 31st Street. The project was started in April, and the final layer of asphalt was placed last week. There's a number of punch list items still remaining to be completed, as well as the striping on the roadway at some of the intersections need to be completed as well. And then there are 2 other projects that we were responsible for, that we oversaw, that were related to private development but were the replacement of public infrastructure. The first was the Shawman Avenue water main replacement. So as part of the pathway development, we required that the water main be replaced from Locust Avenue on Shawman all the way to LaGrange Road. That project was completed a couple weeks ago. And then the other project was the replacement of the water main on 47th Street from Bluff Avenue to 9th Avenue as part of the MI Homes project. And that project was also completed last week. It's been a busy construction season, and we certainly appreciate everybody's patience while the work was completed. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Andre and Ryan. And again, I know a number of our residents have communicated about Ashland Avenue and Blackstone, and we looked back at the documents, and sure enough, there was October of 2019 when the project's supposed to be finished. But we're always looking for ways to be least disruptive as possible on the next project. It's just what we do here in LaGrange. Ryan is extremely proactive. These are often projects that really balance between no pain, no gain. You're doing something that will be good for a long time, and then sometimes undoing old infrastructure that maybe wasn't even where it was supposed to be. So the entire village board and Ryan and Andre are very tuned in to each of these projects, and we hear from residents, and that's very important, and it helps us be in the moment, because it's no fun to be in the moment on these projects. The end result's going to be great, but again, from a process standpoint, we're constantly vigilant about improvement and looking at that. So thank you, Ryan, thank you, Andre, and thanks to the residents for their patience. So we do hear, and we are aware. Also, Charity, thank you. Your department was very critical over the weekend with the West End Art Festival, and I didn't mention that earlier, so thank you as well. All departments involved. We have no other announcements today. Madam Clerk, if you could read the items on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item A, award of contract, 2019 sewer televising program. Item B, ordinance, disposal of surplus property, Police Department and Administrative Department. Item C, minutes of the Village of LaGrange Board of Trustees regular meeting, Monday, August 26th, 2019. Item D, consolidated voucher, 190909.
Thank you, and at this point, we would ask for, don't have any current business, so we would move on to public comments regarding items that are on our agenda this evening. Public comments regarding matters that are on our agenda. Seeing none, item 5, consent agenda and vote. Is there a motion?
Mr. Livingston?
Oh, yes.
President Livingston, excuse me.
That's quite all right.
I want to
Please.
make my usual statement.
Very good.
As I've stated previously, I recuse myself from voting items on the voucher related to the village prosecutor. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Augustine.
And I'll make a motion to accept the items presented on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Trustee Katina. It's moved. Is there a second?
I'll second, and I did have a comment or question.
Very good. Trustee Kukler seconds it. It's been moved and seconded. Comments or discussions on the motion? Trustee Kukler.
President Livingston, if I could, I know that on B1 or B, it's disposal of surplus property, Police Department and Administrative Department. And most of the Police Department disposal of property is for drugs. And I just thought maybe we could get, I know it's going to be the next 2 meetings, but some background, how long the drugs are held for. Are they held for criminal cases and then disposed of? And have the nature of the drugs or what we're doing in a village changed, and how will it change now that cannabis will be legal? If Chief Bluter could, not to put you on the spot, but.
To answer the first question, as far as disposal and holding on to it, it depends. We have to wait till the court case is exhausted. Usually there's a court order. We'll get notification that the court case has now been disposed of, so therefore we can get rid of the evidence. There's no further appeals, et cetera. As far as what we're seeing, I don't know that it's changed dramatically. The marijuana perspective, you do make a good point. I don't think we're going to be seeing as much marijuana or entering it into evidence maybe as we have in years past, because it will be legal, and unless we have a bigger case that exceeds the new legal limit, we won't be seizing that or taking it into evidence.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Trustee Kukler, thank you. Other questions or comments on the consent agenda? Items on the consent agenda. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Trustee Augustine?
Aye.
Trustee Gale?
Aye.
Trustee Katina?
Aye.
Trustee Kukler?
Aye.
Trustee McCarty?
Aye. The motion is approved. Item 6, we have no current business this evening before the board. Item 7, public comments regarding matters not on our agenda this evening. Can I ask, could you speak into the mic? It's a little hard. And I'm sorry, when you came up, I did not get the address, so we want to get that in the record. 150 East Avenue. Okay. I might suggest, thank you for coming out because it allows us to hear. Well, I might suggest. All right, well, that's good. I think, well, I would suggest that this is an intake session, so you've done the right thing. You've let us know about the situation. And I'm happy to avail myself with the team to go through the list and report back to the board so they're up to speed. And that's. Well, that's public proceeding here, so your request is entered into the record. And like I said, we will have a productive conversation as to what your issues are and what your request is. All right, I'm sorry to hear that. So we will follow up and schedule something. Any other items not on our agenda this evening? Please.
I was in on January 3rd. On January 3rd, I was number 36 on the wait list. There are approximately, by my count, 135 parking spaces in that area. Now, since January 3rd, I'm number 22 on the wait list. So 14 people have advanced on the wait list for 125 spots, and I'm trying to understand why I wasn't able to get a spot. I can't get a satisfactory answer from anybody I speak with.
If I could ask a question. First of all, thank you for coming out and explaining the situation. When you say there, what location are you talking about specifically?
Specifically, it's location G. And I've done this before. My son had parking passes in the past. I was late the first time I learned about this, and my son ended up in H. I came back earlier than the year year following, and sadly, my son ended up in H. I was too late for a G spot. This year it went online, and you had to have it done. It opened on January 1st. I was in on January 3rd. It told me at that time that I was number 36 on the wait list. Today I'm number 22 on the wait list, so 14 spaces ahead. But where did the 145 spaces go? Who got those spaces? I didn't. That's my question. So now I have a car parked in my driveway. I become Uber to my daughter again, who's 17 years old. I won't go into all that because you all understand that you're probably parents, but I'm just looking for somebody who can speak to, who I can speak to rationally and hopefully solve the situation.
Well, perhaps if there's a way we can communicate with each other, maybe an email or something, and set something up. I did get another email on parking today. This is an ever dynamic premium that we have in the village.
Can I give you one thing
Go
from
ahead.
my own experience?
Sure.
When I contacted the school, I spoke to the assistant principal who is in charge of parking and related to, and is the village liaison to parking. He's never spoken to anyone in the village, knows nothing about the parking processes. So I think getting together with the school would be a good space to understand. I think because it's a joint problem that both of you have to experience as well as the other people who go here. So that would be my first recommendation. And like I said, we could talk a little bit more, but I'm trying to solve my personal problem here.
Okay. Well, I might suggest maybe Lou, we connect you, our finance director, Lou Ciparoni, and he can maybe begin the conversation we'll hear more about it. I'll report back, the team will report back to the board, just so we know. It's a constant vigilant thing, parking.
Absolutely.
And it is at a premium, and sometimes the school controls things, sometimes we do, but we'll take the ownership in the conversation here and follow up between you and Lou. And we don't know what we're going to be able to do, but we'll certainly lean into it and take a look.
That's all I can ask. Thank you for your time and understanding.
Mr. President,
Trustee Kukler.
can I just, so did you get a G this time, or were you unable to get a G?
I was unable to get in G, and I never attempted to get in H because I was number 36 for 145 spots. So now I'm left without a spot, which I'm sure other people are, but I'm the guy who thinks I played by the rules, and I want to understand how the rules work and why I was left out. But that being said, I'll leave Lou my information, and we'll connect.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I'm sure others can benefit from learning about the process, so we'll report back on that. Thank
I
you.
think so.
Yeah.
And I'd be proud to own a home in Grange.
Oh, well, good. We're glad to hear that. Other items not on our agenda this evening, public comment, item 7. Seeing none, item, oh, please.
Good evening, President Livingston and members of the board. Justin Hansen. I live at 301 South Grange Avenue. Thank you for giving us the dates when retail cannabis would be available for discussion and for a vote. Prior to that, if I could ask a question, is there a draft of the ordinance available for the public to consider prior to the discussion that might give that discussion a little bit more guidance so they could know what the village is considering in terms of how many stores in a block, how far from our schools, what are the sign restrictions? And I think what I would just like to know is, what are we considering? What is this ordinance going to look like? And I think that would help shed light on productive discussion on the 23rd. And then if we're going to discuss this on the 23rd and we're going to vote on it the following month, it just, to me, my concern is if there's not an ordinance that the public can consider yet, that there just might not be enough time to consider what is a pretty important issue, I think, to a lot of folks in the village for legitimate, good reasons on both sides.
Sure. Yeah, I think on the 23rd, our desire is to lay out the full picture of what is allowed and what is not allowed in the law. And that includes, the location possibilities. So I would expect that what we would be doing on the 23rd is outlining the complexity, the shape of the issue. And there are certain things the village will have jurisdiction over, and there's other things within the legislation that we don't. So we're going to go through that pretty comprehensively. We did take it up informally on July 8th at our board meeting. So there is no ordinance right now, but I think our purpose on the 23rd is to come to the public and say, these are the issues that we're faced as a community. This is what this document that we're going to be discussing would be the instrument by which we would vote at on our next meeting, And so I think we're coming on to it in the same way you are. We haven't had discussions among ourselves, I can tell you, of where we're at on this issue. We can't take too much time. We're actually, other villages have already acted around us with a lot less debate. So we've had plenty of other good things on our agenda that we have taken up, sort of proactive economic development things, and so that has pushed this debate into September. But I feel like in the next meeting, we're going to really have everything laid out as to what we must do. We want to hear from the community and not sort of impose our position, because again, we're still researching and forming it. So that's a long-winded way of saying, if we've got a sample ordinance, we'll post it ahead of time, and it's, I think, pretty straightforward on what we're allowed to do and what not to do, and we'll share that with the board, and they can get that out to our networks. We'll put it on our website and things like that.
Thank you. And
But, yeah.
with that being answered for me, I think that the only thing I would add is I do know that the board and the village, we are under a deadline, I believe, of January 1 to consider this issue, whether we are opting in or opting out
Yeah.
as a village, and it is a complex issue, as you say. There are really good arguments on both sides. There are veterans that would like access to medical marijuana for, their beneficial purposes. There are families, they're also worried about its proximity to school. So there's gravity on both sides of the argument. And I would just ask that the board consider doing what we've done in the past, which is a wise move, which is opting out to consider this later. I do think that we did that recently with video gaming. It's not the first time we considered it. And I think that there was a lot of wisdom in revisiting it after it's had time to, communities that have adopted it, to see how it played out. So with that being said, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson, and we will definitely take that in the minutes in terms of both your desire for process as well as your position on it. That's very helpful. Again, we expect a full and transparent, clear-headed debate on the 23rd with public intake and trustee discussion, and then on the 14th we would take a vote. All right. Other comments on items not on our agenda this evening? All right, seeing none, we have trustee comments. Any items under trustee comments? Trustee Kotinik.
Great, thank you, Mr. President. So as a resident of LaGrange and sitting up here in this public servant role, one thing I really appreciate about the village is the staff that flanks me on the left and the right, going from police to fire to finance, economic development, public works. And I think we often underestimate the amount of work and pressure that these roles present. Today we heard residents that are, interested in change and trying to make 16,000 people happy in a village is not always the most easy thing. Today I'd like to specifically call out Public Works and Ryan for the work that you've done in the village. Managing infrastructure over a multi-million-dollar capital budget each and every year is an intense process. As Ryan mentioned, Brewster Avenue, the various lots that have been repaved, Blackstone, Ashland, a major work on LaGrange Road, private developments, all that working with the MWRD on ongoing discussions with our water retention project, the snow removal, everything else that he deals with 24/7, 365 days of the week. So I'd like to publicly acknowledge the work that you and your team do. Thank you for all your efforts, Ryan.
Thank you, Trustee Kotinik. Other comments under trustee? Seeing none, we have no matters in closed session. Would seek a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned until September 23rd. Thank you.